Hi everybody, Ellen here. Today I come to you guys with my July wrap-up. Reading actually went really well this month. I actually finished 17 books this month, which was great, but maybe not as surprising because I have been on vacation this entire month. So, well, practically the entire month. So yeah, I read a shitload of books, and I was also participating in the reading rush, which went very well for me. And yeah, but I ended up reading 17 books in total. 3 of those are picture books, so count them if you want to or not. But yeah, let's get talking about the books. So the very last book I ended up finishing was The Passion of Dolores by Bray. This is a historical fiction. It starts in 1290, and we follow Dolores, who has been marked as a heretic. Her mother is actually burned at the stake for this, but Dolores manages to escape, and she has to, you know, try to run away and hide from the inquisitors and the friars and everything like that. And she ends up in this small village being taken care of these 3 sisters that run this tavern, and she has to hide. But you know, how will shit go down? I picked this one up just because I read Lovely War by Julie Berry, which I absolutely loved. This one did not really matches well with me. I did enjoy it, and I did like the characters, but like I didn't love it or anything, and I didn't connect with the characters as much as I did in A Lovely War. But overall I enjoyed it. It was a really quick read. I completely flew through the pages, and I ended up giving this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I also read Riordan Keeps Breaking Up With Me by Marika Tamaki, illustrated by Rosemary Valera O'Connell. This is a graphic novel. It is beautiful and black and white and just some pinks in it. And this is about Frederica and her girlfriend Riordan, who keeps breaking up with her. So this is sort of a not a very healthy relationship, because Frederica keeps waiting for Riordan to come back to her, and she's not really feeling very well in this relationship, but still she keeps staying in it. So it's really about like coming to terms with that kind of with the fact that it's not an unhealthy relationship, and we get to follow how it impacts like Frederica and her friends and everybody around her. And I did really love the art style. I mean, this cover is gorgeous to begin with. I did like the characters, and the plot and everything was very well done. And yeah, it was a quick read, but it's a graphic novel, so why not? I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. And then we have a manga. This is To Your Eternity Volume 1 by Yoshitoki Oima. This is about an orb being cast down to earth and then kind of metamorphosing that's the word, into a wolf, and then it sort of joins a boy on his very difficult journey to find his tribe. And it just, I feel like there's 2 completely different storylines, and it didn't really mash up, and it's sort of like that's one story and that's one story, and where they're supposed to meet. They did meet, but you don't get like any answers whatsoever, and it was just a little bit too weird for me, I feel like. And I didn't really, I mean, there's some horrible shit happening in this story, but I still didn't really connect with the characters or really care that much, because it was just kind of confused. But overall it was a quick read, and I ended up giving this volume 2 out of 5 stars. And then we have Well Met by Jen DeLuca. This is an adult romance novel. I actually really enjoyed this one, which is a surprise, because this might be like, I think, my 2nd romance novel like ever. But I don't really want to say too much, because I think it will be better just going blind. But our 2 main characters meet at this Renaissance fair, which is I really enjoyed the Renaissance fair of it all, and I like the family dynamics with the main character, and I just really love the the romance. It's sort of a enemies to lovers kind of trope, which I didn't really know that I liked because, well, I haven't read romance before, but I was all for that, and it just felt kind of natural, and it was really done in a really good way. And yeah, I really loved it, which was a huge surprise for me. But yeah, I'm definitely going to pick up the second book in the series, because I think it's still supposed to be taking part in like the Renaissance fair, but we follow two of the more minor characters from this book. But yeah, I really liked it, and it was such a quick read, and I was kind of obsessive about it for a while. But yeah, I ended up giving this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then I also read The Lightning Thief by Riordan. This is the first book in Percy Jackson and the Olympians. This was a reread for me that I read during the reading rush. I actually listened to this book as audio. And we meet Percy Jackson. He finds out he is a demigod, meaning he's half human and half god. He's, you know, has some powers and shit. He finds out who his immortal parent is, meaning his dad, which of the gods he is. And Percy has to go on this adventure with his new friends to be able to save the day. And just Greek mythology. I love Greek mythology. I love all of the mythologies, but this Greek mythology is like the one I know the best. So since it was a reread, I already knew I would love it, which I did, and it was such a good audiobook as well. I haven't listened to this story as an audiobook before, so it was great, and I ended up giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. And then we have Love, Life and the List by Casey West. This was also a reread, and I reread this during the reading rush as well, as will some of the books have been. I ended up annotating this time around because I just loved it so much. There are so many good scenes and quotes in this book. That we meet Abby Turner, and she wants to be an artist. So she likes to paint a lot, and she wants to be able to put her art out in this sort of art gallery. So she shows her art to her boss, who's the one that decides who gets to be a part of this art show, but he tells her that her art doesn't have enough heart in it. So Abby decides to do this sort of to-do list of different things she needs to try out to be able to feel all of these different emotions and feelings and stuff like that, and she hopes that that will help her get more heart into her art. And her friend Cooper comes along for the journey, and I love their friendship. They're so awesome together, and I love Abby's sort of family dynamics. Her grandpa is really awesome for one thing, and then her dad is really awesome too. Her mom has sort of agoraphobia, which I feel is not really represented in a lot of books, because I have agoraphobia as well. Admittedly not nearly as bad as Abby's mother, but it's still a thing you have to work on daily. But it was just really nice to see that representation. I mean, this is a reread, so I knew the representation was there, but still it's nice to see it in a novel like this. And this was just a really quick and fun read, and I got obsessed with it again. But yeah, I ended up giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. And then I also read The Mighty Heart of Sunny St. James by Ashley Aaron Blake. This is a middle grade book. We meet Sunny. She has gotten a heart transplant, and now she wants to make a list of all of the things she wants to do that she couldn't do before when she didn't have a healthy heart. So she wants to do she wants to find a new best friend. She wants to find a boy that she wants to kiss, but maybe it turns out that she doesn't want to kiss a boy at all. And just the friendship she has with her new friend, it's just so cute, and they have so much fun together. I just really like them together, and it's very fluffy and cute at a lot of points, but there's also a little bit more hard-hitting subjects thrown in there as well, and that was done in a really good way according to me. So it was a really quick read as well, and I did really enjoy it, and I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. And then we have Layer of Dreams by Libba Bray. This is the second book in the Diviners Quartet, is it? I think. So this one, I mean, I don't want to say too much because it's the second book, so I don't want to spoil it. But in this one, there's sort of this sleeping sickness going around town. People get like start to dream, and then they can't wake up from their dreams, and they sort of die while dreaming. And sort of the Chinese that lives in Chinatown sort of get blamed for this, and people are put into quarantine and stuff like that. Feels like a little bit, you know, like the pandemic we're currently in. But yeah, I kind of struggled a little bit with this one. I mean, I love Diviners, the first book, so very much, because Evie has a really cool power. I mean, she can touch objects and she can read like the history of the object and the person that used or wore the object. And I mean, that definitely comes to part in this story as well, but there's like two characters that can walk in dreams and stuff like that and sort of control them. And I don't know, I just didn't really want to pick it up at all times because I just feel like I was struggling a little bit with it to get through it and everything like that. Evie is definitely, I mean, I know I said after reading the first book that she wasn't really a likable character and I had trouble like liking her, and this book she's definitely worse, so I definitely struggled a lot with her. But there are some characters in here that has a little bit more of a redeeming qualities about them, so I definitely like them more than Evie. But yeah, I definitely struggled with this one. I mean, it was good, I just didn't feel inclined to pick it up as much as I would have thought I would. So I had to push myself to finish it before the reading rush started, so I have finished the book for my TBR. But I ended up giving this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. And then I also read The Burning Maze by Riordan. This is the third book in the Trials of Apollo series. As you guys know, love Riordan. It's the second book on this wrap-up. But this is about the god Apollo. He sort of got into a fight with Zeus, you know, the main god, and Zeus cast Apollo down to earth. He is now mortal. He is a teenager who's really awkward and pimply and gangling and all that things, and he doesn't have any powers anymore, and he now goes by the name Lester Papadopoulos. And there's a lot of monsters and gods and stuff like that that wants to kill Apollo and, you know, sort of take the chance while they're at it because he doesn't have any powers. He can't really defend himself. And while trying to defend himself, Apollo also have to save the world again. Apollo is definitely a character that has been growing on me because I feel like he's not the best person in the first book. He's really like selfish and he wants everybody to treat him like a god, even though technically he's not a god anymore. But he definitely grows a lot throughout the series, and that's really great because I love a good character development. And he gets help from his best friend Meg, and she has some really awesome powers. So yeah, I don't really want to say anymore because I don't want to spoil anything, but I did really enjoy this one. It was really fun, a lot of explosions and awesome powers, and yeah, I ended up giving this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I know I reread a lot of books this month, but I don't really care. So I reread Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the first book in the Illuminae Files trilogy, and this is the third time I read this book, and I just love it so much. Like, even though I know what's going to happen, I know pretty much when it's going to happen, I don't care. I am hooked from the first freaking page, and since the format is mostly like chat logs and like security cams and stuff like that, interviews as well, I just flew through it so quickly. I mean, it's like 599 pages and I just smashed right through it, and I really want to reread the rest of the trilogy as well, so might happen in August. I don't know if I will have time for that, but I just love this so much. I love Katie and Ezra, and I didn't really explain what this is about, but basically Katie and Ezra lives on this planet called Corenza, and that's sort of an illegal mining planet. So this sort of big company called Bytech goes there, bomb the shit out of them, and tries to kill everybody. People ends up escaping on these different spaceships, and Kate and Ezra ends up on different ones, and they just have to fly through space trying to get to the Heimdall, where they can like space jump from. Is that the word? I don't know. And they're being hunted down in the entire time by tech, and people die, and people get like exploded into pieces, and there's disease going around. It's awesome. If you haven't read it already, just do, because you will not regret it. So once again, I ended up giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. Who's surprised? Not me. I also ended up tabbing a few quotes that I really love, so win-win. And then we have Girl Made of Stars by Ashley Erin Blake. This was such a surprising read for me. I've heard great praise for this book, but it was so good. Definitely exceeded my expectations. It's not very long at all. It's really short, in fact, 289 pages. I read this in like a day, I think it was, and I was hooked. So in this one we meet the twins Mara and Owen, and Mara loves her twin brother, of course, but she doesn't really know what to think when one day Owen's girlfriend Hannah accuses him of rape, because Mara doesn't really think that her brother would do such a thing, and at the same time she doesn't believe that Hannah would lie about such a thing. And it's just a lot of shit going on, and she's trying to figure out what's going on with her ex-best friend Charlie at the same time, and a lot of shit is going down. I love the characters. Definitely interesting to see Mara's thought process over this entire thing and how everybody reacted, because Mara and Owen's parents, of course, want to protect Owen in this, because they doesn't really believe that it's what happened and everything, but Mara is not so sure which side she's supposed to be on, and she really struggles with that. And it was just so well written, and I loved the characters and the sort of character development that went through the book, and just so good. I ended up giving this 5 out of 5 stars, and you guys should just read this one. Here is 10 Blind Dates by Ashley Elston. This was such a surprise as well. It was just so funny. So in this one we meet Sophie. It's around Christmas time. She just wants to spend the Christmas holidays with her boyfriend Griffin, but when Griffin unexpectedly ends up dumping Sophie, she ends up spending Christmas time with her family, which is a huge family because there's a lot of people in this family. So she ends up with her grandparents and all of her like a billion cousins and everything like that, and her family decides that they should put up Sophie for 10 blind dates. So basically the family members choose a guy that she's supposed to go on a date with, they decide what they're supposed to do on this date, and then the rest is up to Sophie and the guy. So this was so freaking fun, because some of the dates were admittedly very good, and then there's some dates that are outright disastrous, and it's hilarious. And just love the family dynamic so much, and obviously I like the blind date aspects as well, and it was so fun. And the sort of romance that comes into this, really cute. Definitely rooting for them. Kind of obvious who the guy was, but I don't care. I really love this one. Definitely a pleasant surprise. And if you didn't understand it about my gushing about this book, I ended up giving it 5 out of 5 stars. So now we only have the picture books left. So we have Ruby's Worry by Tom Percival. This is really nice illustrations. So this is basically about Ruby. She is having a worry, meaning that she's worrying about different things, and the more she worries, the bigger the worry gets. But Ruby has to try to figure out what she's supposed to do, because the worry keeps growing and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and Ruby tries to figure out what she's supposed to do about it, what will help, how will she make the worry go away. And I don't really want to say more than that, but you know, sharing is caring. But this was beautifully illustrated. It has a really good meaning behind it, and I definitely think that you could learn something from reading this as a child. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. We have The Storm Whale by Benji Davis. This is beautifully illustrated. There's cats pretty much on every page, which I love. But this one is about a boy, and one day he sees there's a whale washed up on the beach, and he tries to take care of the whale because he feels a little bit lonely, because his dad is a fisherman. He's out to sea a lot of the time because he's trying to, you know, catch fish. And they just learn about the relationship and the fact that the boy is lonely, and the fact that maybe the whale doesn't belong in a bathtub. So I really enjoy this. Beautiful illustrations, really good like learning behind it. I'm giving this 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then we have The Wonderful Things You Will Be by Emily Winfield Martin. This is also beautifully illustrated. I really like these illustrations. And it's pretty much about the fact that a kid can be whatever they want to be when they grow up, no matter if it's a clown or a doctor or whatever. Your parents will be there and support you. It's really pretty. It's written sort of in verse, and I just adored it, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So yeah, that was definitely a lot of books to talk about. We've gone through all of the 17. If you read any of these books, please let me know down below what you thought about them, without spoiling of course. And if you like this video, please don't forget to give me some thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel by clicking the button down below. And yeah, I hope to see each other in the next one. Bye!